All right, doctors. Hey, Dr. Tony, your administrator and founder of our Personal Injury Doctors Elite community. Welcome for today on our 1 o'clock Central Time presentation in all time zones. We want to thank you, first of all, for being in these last few months on the front lines with your staff, with your community, trying to keep them positive and moving forward as we get through this pandemic. It's been one crazy thing that I've never seen in 39 years of my practice, but let's move forward and help each other out. All right, today is why you're here. We've got some great things. A lot of doctors ask about different technologies, treatment measures, organization factors that can be brought into your practices all throughout the United States to help you out not only in patient care, but new technologies to excite your own practice to bring your patients, but also for profit centers too, obviously. So today we're going to introduce a new kind of exciting technique and treatment. I won't tell you the secret until we get our professionals on there, but today we got Jeremy Daniel, and Jeremy has received his master's degree in exercise physiology, focusing in neuromuscular physiological from Georgia State University. He spent the last 7+ years in health and wellness industry and everything from gym management and exercise coaching to private business consulting and corporate wellness. He joined the team of Power Plate last May and has helped integrate better business solutions to many companies, practices, and doctors. And he's got a colleague also he will introduce, but I'll let him take the stage first. And we want to welcome Jeremy and his colleague Lisa as they share their great information, expertise, and what they're bringing to us today. All right, Jeremy, you got the stage. Thanks, guy.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Tony. Yeah, so to give everybody a quick overview, PowerPlate is the global leader in providing vibration technology for therapy and training. We're in over 100 countries around the world. We're in every industry from healthcare to private clubs to commercial gyms and everything in between. So to kind of give you the insight into what PowerPlate does, it's important to understand a quick insight into the science. So the easy part of our products, all our products vibrate, meaning they move. That is all they do. They do nothing magical outside of that, because all the magic happens is when the body is exposed to vibration, we see responses in improving motor learning and muscle health. We see a lot of flexibility and mobility with stability. We see a lot of increases in circulation, improvement in pain modulation. And these are all things that in the physical medicine and physical movement space that are all super important that we strive to help everyone integrate into their practices and their businesses so that they can help people live, play, and move better. So to better explain about how it can be put for you guys, I have brought on Lisa Jersky, who is a many-decade-year pro in the physical therapy world. She's been with PowerPlate a very long time. And she has a lot of expertise on how she's been very successful with it, how it's been successful for all of her patients. And so without stealing the thunder, I'm going to let Lisa take over from here to explain the more insightful parts for the practice.
Hi there. I guess my name is Lisa Jersky. I'm a physical therapist in private practice here in Chicago. And just give you a little background about, kind of who I am. I am an orthopedic specialist. My background, I did my undergrad at UC Berkeley and graduate training in physical therapy at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, and then ended up in Chicago. And this is where I've been since, for a couple of decades. Not many, many decades, but a couple of decades. Early on in my career, I was exposed to the PowerPlate device, and when that happened, I quickly started incorporating it into my treatments and things with my patients with great success. And it is something that I have brought with me into private practice. I've been in private practice now for a little over 6 years and would never try to do this without one because of how much I use it. For me, in my practice, my clinical practice, spine is my specialty. I work with people with headaches, neck pain, back pain, plenty of extremity things as well. But my manual therapy training is very heavily spine focused, and a lot of what I do is very much in line with why PowerPlate is such a good fit. And it's good for anyone who does manual therapy, and I think that everyone on this call does that in some capacity with their patients. And in recommending PowerPlate in an individual setting, obviously it is more useful for people that are trying to accomplish the things that it facilitates, everything from enhancing circulation to improving muscle strength, improving flexibility, decreasing pain. The pain modulation piece is obviously huge because pain is a very motivating factor for a lot of patients seeking care. And so anything that we can do to mitigate that is going to be beneficial. So in using PowerPlate in my practice, it has really been beneficial because it helps to facilitate all the things that I'm already trying to do with my patients. The difference is that I can just get it done faster. And if I can be more efficient with my patient care, that just makes me a better clinician, and it makes my patients recognize the benefit of coming to see me. The idea of incorporating PowerPlate into an existing practice is not difficult to see when you look at the benefits of the PowerPlate device. And when you look at adding it into an existing practice, again, it isn't going to do something different than what you're already doing. It's just going to make what you're doing that much better and make you faster and more efficient in your practice. So for the general purpose of using PowerPlate in an existing practice, it's something that is a value-added service that your patients are going to recognize. And I've definitely seen that in my own practice. My cancellation rates are almost zero, and it takes something pretty profound to have a patient cancel on me with very little notice. It doesn't happen often, and it certainly doesn't happen without really, really good reason. And so when you talk about just complete straight-up metrics, it decreases the cancellation rate, and that compliance with attendance is really important because that's not time that you can get back. The value that patients recognize comes from the education that I provide with my patients in the moment because they're coming in, and again, pain being a very motivating factor, that's oftentimes one of the things they're coming into treatment for. Get rid of the pain so that they can improve their function, get back to doing whatever it is that they want to do at the level that they wish to do it. And so with incorporating PowerPlate, it was a very easy fit for what I do because it's already doing the things that I want to do with my patients anyway. And so when I'm educating my patients, I talk to them about what we're using it for and why. And it's something that they recognize as something that they can't do on their own and something that works very quickly. They see the results. They see the benefits right away. They feel the reduction in pain. They can feel the increase in circulation. They can feel the fact that they're able to do things on the plate in a more pain-free manner that they can't do off the plate. But then once they're done, then they're able to actually move better and see the results of the treatment. So I think from that perspective, it bears mention that it's not changing what we do, but it is making what we do better and faster. And because it is something that we are doing with our patients or that our patients are seeing, they are able to see and feel and touch, and it's a value-added benefit to the practice in general. Now, people always ask me how I'm billing for it, and that's, I think, a good question. The short answer is I don't bill any differently. We aren't billing separate or different codes for whole body vibration training. I say the same thing as I'm doing with any other treatment. You bill for what you do, and in my experience, the ability to be able to use the PowerPlate allows you to bill for either therapeutic exercise or neuromuscular education or even manual therapy codes or functional activities. It depends on what the activity is that you're doing on the device. Because if you're just doing a straight up exercise for strengthening and conditioning, then therapeutic exercise is certainly the appropriate activity. When you're on that whole body vibration device and working on balance and proprioception, well, then that's more of a neuromuscular re-education thing. Keep in mind that even when you are doing therapeutic exercise, you're also getting the neuromuscular stimulation and all the additional benefits while you're focusing on that therapeutic exercise. And so, again, it just makes your exercise more efficient and makes your time with the patient more efficient. Manual therapy codes, I will oftentimes use the PowerPlate to help facilitate a manual technique that I'm doing with the patient, and so you can certainly do that. That's probably the least common thing that I do. Most of the time I'm doing my manual techniques on the table, but it certainly can be used in that capacity. And then ultimately then functional activities are another thing that you can bill for if you're working on gait mechanics or stair training, things of that nature that you typically bill as a functional activity. Well, doing that on the PowerPlate, you can then be doing that as well, but you're getting the additional benefits of any therapeutic activity, exercise, the balance and proprioceptive input. All of that happens simultaneously, and so it's just, again, a very efficient way to utilize your time. And in utilizing the PowerPlate in my practice, I find that I'm doing all the things that I normally do, but I'm able to do more in less time, and I'm able to basically bill the same amount of units that I would be billing in an hour session. I get it done in about 45 minutes. And so instead of having to take a full 25 or 25 minutes of time to do a certain volume of exercise, I'm still going to be able to bill 2 units by doing it in under 20 minutes. And I can also then add an additional 5 minutes of something that's going to be working on balance, and I'm adding in the neuromuscular component and the neuromuscular reeducation. So again, you're able to just be more efficient with your time, and things that would take longer, you're able to do in a shorter and more efficient time frame. And then when you look at monetizing PowerPlate overall in an existing practice, efficiency is certainly important. Decreasing your cancellation rate is certainly important. And depending on how much time you're spending with your patients, you can actually increase the number of units that you're billing. If you're going to spend the same amount of time, you can actually do more with them in that amount of time, and so it gives you the opportunity to actually bill more for the same amount of time. Now, in working with patients who are paying cash for services, this is something that is incorporated into my existing cash structure. So I have patients that are coming in. It's usually a flat fee for a visit, and so I have not done anything separate to bill for PowerPlate services separately. That certainly is something that would be an optional add-on as something that you could do with a patient down the road, be able to say, okay, well, we're going to do this and set up a program and have it be something that you could monetize and bill for as a separate service. The way that my practice works, I am just billing for if a cash pay patient is coming in. The cash rates are really based on an individual treatment, and it's meant to be comprehensive. But again, this is something that would be an incentive for a patient to come and see you in this setting because you have something that the other guy doesn't. You're able to provide a service and a product and do something with them that they can't get somewhere else. And so that is something that helps to really differentiate a clinician in what they're doing in their practice. Jeremy, do you have any questions about how I'm incorporating this? I felt like I wanted to touch base with this, but I didn't want to get too hot into the science of it because I felt like you were doing a good job of kind of explaining that. And I know that PowerPlate has a lot of really great information on their app and on their website about the science behind the PowerPlate and how the whole body vibration actually makes these physiological changes occur and what's happening and quantifying that in a real fashion. Anything else that you would want to add?
Yeah, so I guess the most important thing for everyone to know is when you buy from us, you get more than just here's your product, see you next time you want to buy something. We actually have a whole team that's dedicated to taking all the people that we talk to from all around the healthcare industry and being able to kind of give you certain insights and best practices that other people like Lisa have done so well, so that when you get it, you get kind of a well-rounded approach to how to have it. Not to mention, our education is globally accredited around the world, including in the United States, and it's found on several media. You could have an online virtual training session with a master trainer. You can have access to our website. We have a whole workshop page that takes you through all of the learning modules. And we also have an app. And all of this is free. This is all free education for you to learn the science, learn integration-based application, and everything you want to know in between. And not to mention, if there's something else you have from that, there's still a real team of people that's on my team that are in charge of making sure that when our product is sold into the market, it's not just sold, but it's serviced and providing you with the best way forward. Because at the end of the day, our biggest goal is to have more people improving their quality of life and just having the ability to improve our mission of helping people live, play, and move better. And so that is all we had for you guys for today. Did you have any questions, Dr. Tony?
Okay. Yeah, thanks. I'm going to lead in with a question probably for Dr. Lisa there. A lot of the doctors here do personal injury in our community. And have you come across practical use in a personal injury case, whiplash? I'm sure this can be definitely brought into an added treatment procedure for the patients through concussions, whiplash, balance loss. All that happens in car accidents, falls, and sports injuries. Can you elaborate on a little bit about the practical use if you are doing that?
Absolutely.
If not, I can
Absolutely.
probably add in how you can use it in the practice. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Use in practical applications, because I absolutely have seen patients with those exact injuries, whiplash, concussion, whether it be a sports injury or from a car accident, that sort of thing. And absolutely. So it doesn't, again, it's not going to replace a lot of the manual techniques that we utilize. But what it does do is then takes the motor control piece that needs to follow the manual therapy, and it can be extremely effective in those cases. So a lot of times, depending on what's going on, the motor control is the piece that's really missing. And so it's a really great way to introduce very gentle exercise and stimulation to a lot of the joints, and starting off in the periphery, but when you're standing on it, you do get stimulation of the core. And so you're getting pelvic floor activation, lower abdominals, lumbar multifidus, and when you're doing closed kinetic chain exercise on it with the upper extremity, you're getting the same kind of benefits. You'll get benefits standing on it, but you can get even a stronger stimulus into the cervical spine and the shoulders and the upper back, doing closed kinetic chain through the upper body. So putting the hands on the plate and doing just simple range of motion exercises, working on cervical proprioception, being able to hold the head and neck in good alignment as you're starting to bear weight through the upper extremity, and then being able to do that in the whole body vibration environment. Again, you're getting stimulation of all the mechanoreceptors in and around the shoulders, the scapulae, the thoracic spine, the cervical spine, and then everything up into the neck and the jaw. So you're getting that stimulation just with basic upper extremity weight bearing. And then you can progress those exercises, obviously, to include more aggressive type exercise by doing things in a single arm support, or doing things where you're putting more weight bearing, whether you're in a hands and knees position or coming all the way up into a full plank position, so more weight bearing, doing a unilateral load, doing a side plank type of positioning. And again, these things are going to be very simple to affect postural control, and doing this in combination or after a manual therapy is really effective, because that's what we want to accomplish. After you do a manual technique, what do we want to accomplish after that? We want to make sure that the patient is gaining the neuromuscular control in that new range and regaining the sense of, the proprioceptive sense of what the head, neck, and upper back are supposed to be doing. It's one of the biggest things that I think gets missed in these kind of whiplash and head injury cases, is that the proprioceptive sense isn't addressed. And so the ability to know where your body is in space is really important, and that doesn't just apply to ankle sprains. And so injuries in other parts of the body, you lose that proprioceptive sense right away, and the cervical spine is no different. So being able to do special and specific exercise that's going to really address and highlight the motor control after all the manual techniques is really important. In addition, this is also going to help decrease pain at the same time. So if there's any treatment soreness or anything that could be perceived as a negative effect of a treatment, is going to be mitigated using it as well, because you're going to get a pain reduction, not just from the pain that they're coming in with, but also potentially any treatment-related soreness that they might experience. So it's a very easy thing to incorporate as part of the personal injury side of things, in this particular instance, like I said, this is something that I do myself and very frequently. And so you can bill, again, the same kind of things that you were using before, but you can also certainly create a different additional revenue stream by billing for something more specific, or basically creating a new treatment code, if you will, or billing for something separate if it is something that's truly unique to that kind of treatment protocol, if you will, especially for someone that is focusing strictly on personal injury.
And that was a total awesome explanation, and I know why Jeremy picked you to do this presentation. You're just awesome. I mean, you're like one of my professors back in '81 in technique. No, and that's good. And I wanted to tell docs in personal injury, as she mentioned, you can add this into your protocol treatment plans. Even though you do your normal evaluations, neuromuscular, orthopedic exam, neurological examinations, now you have an added program that you can add in with your manual therapies, your ultrasound, your muscle stems, and everything else we all use over the years in personal injury for conditions. And she hit on something that was very valuable. These are being missed. And not that I like personal injury attorneys, but the personal injury attorneys like these to be caught, because these diagnoses and these treatment programs can add value not only to healthcare for your office, but also for their end in making an evaluation to help your patient in their agony of pain. And of course, we know settlements is always around, and it gets paid 100%. I would imagine if you're holding liens with the attorneys, if you're doing personal injury. So I wanted to add those quite benefits to have in this particular unit. Can you? I know we don't have. I think if you sent a visual link over, we may get it. Can you describe how big is it? It can probably fit into your any one of your rooms, treatment rooms, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And I've worked in small spaces, and there are different units available depending on at different price points, depending on how big of a unit you're looking for. The platform size can vary slightly, but even the personal unit and the Move platform are robust enough where you can stand on them, and it's fine. But they're a little bit more compact and don't have the vertical stem. The larger units do have that vertical stem, which can be useful in a number of fashions, but there are a lot of options out there. And I know, Jeremy, you might want to touch base on which units are because I'll be honest, I've used mostly the larger stem style units in my spaces where I've been, but this is something that I'm actually looking to go into a smaller space starting in another month or two, and depending on the space constrictions, I may end up trying one of the smaller units. But yeah, they are extremely compact, and the Move unit in particular is nice because, like its moniker, it is really easy to move. So it's something that you can pull out when you want to use it, tuck it away when you don't. The larger units are definitely more of a put in place and leave it there just because they're fairly heavy, but the smaller ones are easier to move and can be mobile on an as-needed basis for space constraints. But they don't take up a lot of space. They take up less space than my rower, and I consider my rowing, the C2 Concept 2, to be pretty efficient space-wise, and this takes up even less space than that. So basically like a rower, but more like a treadmill type effect. But less space even than a treadmill. The footprint is really, really small, and it's nice because it's very efficient space-wise. But as I said, it just depends on which unit you choose as to whether or not you need or want something to be completely mobile, to be able to get it completely out of visual field, if you will, or to be able to maybe put it in the middle of the room for something versus having it in a corner against a wall, that sort of thing, because they can be used just about anywhere, and it just depends on what you're trying to do on it as to where it would be most effective placement-wise. You could even use like a Move platform, in the middle of the space because there is no stem on it, and you could have multiple people using it at once, which is, great, obviously, from an efficiency standpoint. because you've got one person on one side, one person on the other, and it's very easy to have more than one person on it in that kind of a capacity. How you incorporate it into your practice is obviously very individual. It just depends on how much space you have to dedicate to the movement side. But even for someone that is going to just do this as an add-on, like I said, the basic footprint is very small, and it does not take up a lot of space, and it doesn't require a lot of space to be utilized efficiently and effectively. Certainly, when you have more space, you can. We always take up as much space as we have available to us, I think. Most of us do that anyway. I know I do.
Our management teams.
Yeah.
I know our management teams that we've been through all years says if you have a space, you make sure you can produce some income in it. Don't throw a bunch of junk in a room and all that space is wasted that you're paying square footage on. So, and Jeremy can relate to this. You could probably buy 25 of these things and line them all up like a gym and schedule 25 people at one time and do this treatment. How you like that for Disney World treatment? I call it in and out. So,
Yep.
All right, great. Well, no doubt, great information, and no doubt you can bring them right into your practices, different size groups. Jeremy can handle that with the doctors based on their square footage, what they need. When you contact his website and a number, and go ahead and add. If you got anything more to add, we'll add in, and then we'll maybe close it out and get that information out to them.
Yeah, so I guess to leave with, you can contact me directly, and my email will be, Dr. Tony has my email, for those of you who can't see it. My email is Jeremy, Jeremy, .D as in dog, AN as in Nancy, IELL, @powerplate.com. You can contact me directly there, and I'll be sure that you're supported with the right person of the team and make sure that you have everything that you need. And that would be the easiest way to get in touch with us.
All right. So,
and if anyone has any questions about implementation, billing, or anything of that, I'm more than happy to have conversations on an individual basis as well. I can be reached at Ljurski, LJURSKI, @me.com. And you can also find me my website, which is pokeandprodpt.com, pokeandprod.com.
All right, great. We're going to get those posted today, so we have them out in the community, and then we will have the recording coming out in a couple of days. Docs, don't fret. Well, all that great information Dr. Lisa's given us and Jeremy has been giving us on this, you will have the recording of that, so you can hit spots, review what she went over, especially in the coding. That was a great add-on from a doctor's point of view, because that's the first thing they ask about. Is this an experimental thing you're going to throw out? Can you use codes? And you've covered all that, so that was great. I know most of them will ask, well, if I have an injury in the cervical level, thoracic, lumbar, hip level, do I bill 3 times because you're in the anatomy? That's up to your coding specialist to figure out as doctors in different states and whatever you want to do. We won't probably go over that in this presentation, but that's something you have to go over yourself with your coding specialist. So, all right, great. Well, we're going to go ahead and possibly get them back to, well, not possibly, we're going to get them back to their staff and their patients on the front lines here. We want to thank Jeremy and Dr. Lisa for being with us today, their time away from what they can be doing to bring this great education and treatment methodology to your offices. All right, one more time, if you got either of you have anything to add, we'll, if not, we'll go ahead and close the session out and get him back to practicing.
Good to go? Thanks for having me.
All right, you bet, and thank you for your both of your time for our doctors. Hey, docs, thanks again for joining us. We ask that you continue to stay safe, keep positive, make sure your communities as leaders, you keep them positive also as we get through this. And we'll have everything posted and the recording probably within the next 48 hours, so you can have all that information to make contact to bring that into your offices. All right. With that, Dr. Tony, your administrator, the founder of the Personal Injury Doctors Elite Community, hey, have a great rest of the week. Be safe and make it happen.